Hello, and welcome. We are live, and I am hopping in a big board, but I got to do it on my phone because I just tried and got the location error. So I am waiting for two. So if you want to hop in, now is the time. I'm just sending out the message. I got a little delayed because of the location error, but hopefully we can get this going. So this is, I am past the halfway point of these, a little ahead of where I thought I would be, being that we are still over a month away from the NFL draft when this will close. But I did want to get a lot of these in before the combine. I was able to accomplish that. And we'll go through some of the things I am happy I got. Come hang out, waiting for one. And we are live. So hopefully, if you wanted to get in here, you are off. All right. So I am here with the third pick in the draft. I am considering here taking, getting a little weird and taking a share of CeeDee Lamb. And the reason I'm doing that possibly is because when I look at my exposures, I have 10% Bijan, 13% Saquon, and 8% Jamar Chase. But when I look at Lamb, who I really like, I'm only at 3.7%. So I do want to smooth this out, and I think this might give me the chance to get a slightly different roster construction. So I know it's a little unorthodox, but I do want to mix up some of these so I don't end up with extremely similar teams. And hopefully some of these work out. And it's always fun to try something new. I tend to find that sometimes the 3-hole, it can dry up in the second round, the wide receiver room, and you find yourself making the decision of going running back, which I don't necessarily love this year because part of the things we like about this year is the depth of the running back class. But when we spend our early draft capital on the running backs, we're potentially kind of swimming a little upstream. So I'm going to try something a little different. I wouldn't do this every draft. I don't do this every draft, as you can see, but trying something new. I really like CeeDee Lamb this year. I think the Cowboys are going to be a whole heck of a lot better. People are not necessarily the most excited about the coaching hire, but I think the talent on the team and the sort of institutional knowledge they have will overcome that. So going to take a chance. Definitely an argument that I should have taken Jefferson. But again, I think, you're kind of coin flipping there. Who's going to have the better season? It's probably about a 50-50. Who's going to have the better weeks 15 through 17? Again, a 50-50. So you're never going to get a team with both. So the idea is to just build out these rosters and hope we can find a shipper. Tyler, welcome. Thanks for coming by. The combine is on in 2 hours and 30 minutes. So we still have that much time before we really got to lock in and start watching dudes running with no pads and overreacting to them. I'm going to turn on the ducks here by popular request. D. Eds, welcome. Thanks for coming by. I know you said you were going to run one of these this morning. Looks like I don't think I see you in here, but I appreciate you stopping by and hanging out. And hopefully we're going to build something that looks a little different than some of the other teams I've had out of the 3-hole. And I do find that in the 3-hole, if Ladd does not slip to you at 22, which he very rarely does, the next wide receiver up is Tyreek Hill. And I am really out on Tyreek Hill. I wish I had an overflow room. I don't think I am. I don't think I'm there yet, but I do. This is the first time anyone has ever called the draft after mine the overflow. So I thank you for giving me that little bit of a dopamine hit there. But yeah, I'm sorry you didn't get in. like I said, don't really like Tyreek this year. I think I'm going to take T. Higgins as my wide receiver 2 and see what comes around at 27. Tyreek, I think he lost a step. You know, if he wasn't showing up in the top ball carrier metrics because he wasn't getting enough receptions, but was he not getting enough receptions because he's lost a step and he's slow? It's sort of a, I think it's a little bit of a chicken and the egg thing. So I am really out on Hill this year. I don't want to have Stone 0, but I don't think I want him on this team, especially when I did something a little weird to get a little different. When I do something weird and different, I don't want to stack all the weird and different stuff in one draft. And being I have almost no Hill, I don't think I want to make a Lamb Hill team in this room. I think with my next pick, my preference would be Josh Jacobs. I think he makes the most sense for this team by ADP. I would see nothing wrong opening with 3 receivers. When I look at where I'm picking next, I think that's an area where I'm still likely to get another receiver. I find that some of my favorite wide receiver picks come in this 70 to 75 pocket. You can get guys like Jennings, Ibuka, your favorite pick of your Niners receivers. And so planning ahead, I don't necessarily want to have 3 or 4 receivers when I hit that pocket, because I think running back thins out there, where at 46, you still have a chance at Chuba. If you want him, I'm kind of out on Mixon, but that's typically who's there in that range. And then at 51, you could reach for whichever rookie running back pass gene do you want. Hampton's usually there. Henderson is there. And so if you want to do that, you can, and you also usually can get your shot at Kamara if he's your jam. So we'll see what comes to us, but planning ahead for these pockets, I've been trying to do a little more of, and then not find myself, with 4 receivers heading into pick 70, and there's no running backs I like. And I don't typically like to take 5 receivers in a row. To me, that's fancy play. But pretty smart people do it. When I'm on this side of the board, I always try to have 2 RBs through 5 dries out fast. Yeah, that's what I've found as well. So I think we're in agreement of how we like to build there. Let's just pull up the board, make sure nobody's doing anything too weird. The one hole it's a little weird to have 0 wide receivers through 3. I don't love that. Bow and Pat went running back. So running back might be thinner than usual, depending on what the rest of the board does. Not my preferred way to build doing that, but I do think Mike Evans at 37 is not the worst wide receiver one you can have. They seem to move heaven and earth to get him his 1,000 yards, and I don't see why that won't continue in Tampa. Worthy going at 39. His rise has not been as precipitous as I thought it would be, but I guess the most notable thing is the 9-hole did get the McLaurin Daniels stack, which is pretty tough to get, but not impossible. And drafts like this are why I just don't like taking him at the 2-3 turn, because so many people are able to get him late if you're patient and or lucky with a McLaurin fall. So Hampton and Hubbard go. So running back is drying up fast. So for my position, I could either take Joe Mixon here. I think my preference is to take Tet McMillan, lock up this, probably the number 1 wide receiver off the board if you're not calling Travis Hunter a receiver. I've seen Ibuka mocked ahead of McMillan in a couple places, but those seem to be outliers. And I'm so out on Mixon. I don't hate taking Jalen Hurts there. I think he should be the QB2, but he's going off at the QB4. If he's there at 51, I don't know that I'll be able to pass on him. I said I was going to take a running back. I don't know how I want to play this because I'm going to be picking at 70. I don't love Judkins, and if Tracy's gone, it can be thin. So let's see what comes out to us. No RB here. Yeah, I am really out on Joe Mixon. I'm going to take Jalen Hurts, I think. I like this fall. I know he's going to be unstacked, but he's one of the QBs I don't mind taking unstacked. And yeah, I'll feel good about QB. Maybe a little bit of a misstep because Lamb is very easy to stack. And in that 120s range, I typically prefer taking a quarterback to really any other position. I still may, take Dak as my QB2, but yeah, to me, Hurts at 51 is really hard to pass up with how good that offense is and how he really just is the goal line back in Philly. I don't see why that offense would take any kind of step back, and I don't think the Packers have enough votes to ban the tush push, but you never know. You never know what kind of, what they're doing up there in Green Bay to rally the other teams behind the tush push ban. But it feels like that's not a thing that's going to pass. I think we're going to see more teams with full off seasons prep for it. I think what the Ravens did was interesting, putting a tight end. I think they put Mark Andrews in for the tush push. I could see teams getting a little creative in putting other position players in. Obviously, they're not used to handling the snaps like Hurts is, so there's a little bit of risk when you get really fancy. But assuming you're successfully able to get the ball into the hands of someone like Mark Andrews, plowing over the line to the left, you're going to have a play that's going to be really hard to stop from gaining a yard or two. So we'll see. That's a long way of saying I like Jalen Hurts at pick 51. Running backs continue to go. I'm really hopeful I can get one of these guys, Henderson, Caleb, Connor, in that with my pick 70. If not, I'll probably reach for Judkins, even though I'm not huge on him. I do think I want my running back there. Sam Laporta goes at 63. I am really like Laporta this year. I think he's going pretty late in these drafts. 64 is pretty early for Debo. I haven't seen him go that high lately. I don't know if there's any kind of buzz on where he is apt to end up. All right, we are coming up. So right now I have the leg up rankings in. I try to vary my rankings. I usually have the Matic rankings in. I have the leg up rankings just so I don't end up taking the same pieces every time. So I did not get Johnson or Connor, and now I am in a position of, do I reach for Judkins? Do I take Tracy? Or do I take my favorite wide receiver? I'm pretty happy with Jennings, Egbuka, Ridley, to a lesser extent the other guys. Being that that's the case, I'm going to take Tyrone Tracy here. I know they have Judkins ranked a little higher, but I want to vary my exposures a bit, and I do like Tracy. I think the Giants are going to be better this year, and hopefully he can kind of retain his role. Tyler Warren tush push season, my God. If I knew Tyler Warren was going to be the tush push guy wherever he gets drafted, I would be taking a lot more of him. As it is, I have almost none because I am clicking a lot of Njoku around pick 100. I'm really high on him this year. I probably should be taking more Warren, but it's really hard for me for some reason to get there. I'm hoping that Antler Rice agrees with the rankings in the ADP that Luther Burden is better than Egbuka. I kind of don't love Burden. I think if Egbuka goes, I will take Calvin Ridley. I might take Calvin Ridley anyway, so Shakir goes. So by ADP, the pick would be Burden, then Ridley, then Egbuka. I'm going to take Egbuka here. Go double rookie wide receiver. It is the day of the combine. So if you're ever going to spam rookies before the bottom falls out of the rookie market, today is the day. Yeah, it's interesting because we always remember the risers, the guys that, run a blazing fast 40 and shoot up the board. But there are the guys that fall, and hopefully that is not Egbuka. I don't believe Ted McMillan is running. I think Egbuka is, but don't quote me on that. So we won't get any Ted McMillan news, which is unfortunate. Gone are the days of all of the prospects running at the combine. We did not know how good we had it. But yeah, that's how it goes. It's progress, So far the team is Hurts, Jacobs, Tracy, and then Lamb, Higgins, McMillan, and Egbuka at wide receiver. Let's see. The next pick for me will be picks 94 and 99, which, to be honest, is a weird range in the board where I don't like anybody if I'm not grabbing one of these quarterbacks. I really don't love Mooney and Shaheed. I love the idea of Shaheed. I took a ton of him last year. I worry about a speedster coming off a knee injury. And that's not even the concerns about the Saints not being quite as good as they started off last year. So I have concerns with him. I'm a little worried that Mooney is just a guy and that they could potentially bring somebody else in, but he was really strong last season. We didn't get to see a ton of him with Penix because his injury kind of lined up with Penix coming in. So Drake London was just an absolute target hog. And Cooper Kupp has dust ball risk in addition to landing spot risk. So yeah, Michael Pittman probably should get back surgery. I don't know if that's going to happen. So anyway, I don't like taking receivers there. And then the running backs all have their own problems. I mean, I think Travis Etienne stinks. Like, I really think he's one of the worst running backs I've ever seen who managed to hold on to a job too long. I think Jacksonville is a lock to add somebody who's probably going to be the starter. J.K. Dobbins is fine. I don't hate him. I think he's going to end up with a better team. The dream spot is like the first and second down / goal line guy in Miami. That would be amazing. And then Charbonnet is really, we've seen, he's just purely contingent upside. And, in my head, when I'm picking at 105, I still think I'm getting a guy who's starting. So this range is just really tough. So that's why I find myself taking a ton of Njoku here. I have Njoku ranked ahead of Warren in my head rankings. Probably should be mixing that up a little bit. But let us see. We are about to come up. I do not need a quarterback again because I took Hurts. Aaron Jones goes, who would have been my preference to take. So I'm going to just take the ADP value. I'm going to take the leg up rankings have Jonnu ahead. I disagree there. I'm going to take Mark Andrews. I'm going to add Mark Andrews to this team. He might get cut in Baltimore. There's some cap reasons that might happen, but then I don't know. I think Andrews, Andrews is a team captain there. He represents a lot to the Ravens. I don't see them parting with him personally, but even if they did, he's going to play somewhere and probably be pretty effective. So I think I like taking Mark Andrews there. My next pick will be a bit of a question. Do I take a guy like Shaheed, or do I take one of these running backs? And I will tell you that I have almost no Ramondre. I think he's, a guy who is really running out of juice. I think my preference is Najee Harris, as boring of a pick as that is, but we'll see. We will see. So I think this team probably does. I need another running back. I'm gonna take Najee over Dobbins. I've been taking a lot of Najee, but I think if you told me at the end of the year that Najee had 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns, I just wouldn't be surprised. And getting that at pick 99 seems good. So I'm just going to do that. He's stayed healthy. He showed that he could really be a workhorse in Pittsburgh. The best ball intelligentsia was an absolute love of Warren, and Warren couldn't beat out Najee, which really makes you think that, Najee Harris is the kind of back that NFL teams love. Not necessarily fantasy owners, because he has that reputation of being kind of a plotter, but he does have some pass catching chops. So I think he has sneaky pass catching upside. And I do like him where he goes. Wow, Scatabo at 105. Drosis with no fear that Cam Scatabo will not run at the combine. Scatabo will be running at the Pro Day, which I believe is in a little over 2 weeks. So we will get a 40 time from Scatabo. It just will not be today. But I've seen Scatabo fall in quite a few drafts in the last day and a half. And by quite a few, I mean like the 4 drafts I've done. But that is a man who is not afraid to take some risks. So next pick is coming up at 118. I really like Mims. I don't mind Allen. I'd probably take one of those, assuming they fall to me. If not, stay tuned. I will have to come up with something else. Everything bad I said about those other running backs pales in comparison to the DeAndre Swift situation. Ben Johnson had ample opportunity to make Swift a thing in Detroit, and Swift barely played, and Swift has not been great. And all the coach speak says that Chicago, they basically said, like, we don't know who our running back is, but they're probably not in the room yet. Like the most bearish coach speak I've ever heard. Now, I think Swift's contract makes him unmovable, so he's likely at worst to be kind of the backup. And at best, it's a 1A, 1B situation, but I don't see that. I think Chicago is going to use some serious draft capital on someone more talented than Mr. Swift. I am going to take Keenan Allen here. I'm going to hope that this guy does not feel the need to take Dak Prescott, because I would like to add him. That said, I could potentially add Goddard as my tight end 2 and stack with Hurts. For me, I like some of the late tight ends. If I take Dak, then I potentially could avoid having to take a third quarterback late, or I could make my third quarterback someone like a Jackson Dart who has the risk of not playing this year or coming in very late, like Michael Penix kind of situation. So we will see. I'm a little torn. I do think this Antler Rice guy might just take Goddard and take the decision away from me, but we will see. Historical Anomalies, welcome. Thanks for coming and hanging out. I really appreciate it. I've got an interesting team coming together here, one that I like so far, and I'm trying to not drop the baby. I feel like whichever pick I make here, I'm going to think about more than I should, but let's see. After talking it over, I probably should just take Goddard here. I used, early draft capital on Hurts, so taking a second QB here might be kind of bad. I do want to build out my stack, and now I don't really need a third tight end, so I could potentially use that on another position. Whereas I kind of like having the 3 quarterbacks. I think when you have 20 rounds, having the 3 quarterbacks, the third quarterback hits your lineup more than you'd think. Saw you have a big bag of Betch. What are you hoping he runs today? I don't know his his over under or what we're really expecting from him, being that, he's a converted tight end. I don't know what the typical the expectation for him is. I don't think it's going to be like blazing fast. I would imagine like a 4.45 I think would probably be good. But I don't know, and that might be a pipe dream. I unfortunately don't live in a UD champions state, so I can't pull up the over unders, and you can't bet on that where I'm in Maryland, and like DraftKings doesn't have individual college props, so I just don't know what the market is really saying on that. But hopefully it's fast. Because yes, I have a big bag. Yeah, he was productive. I'm buying the Betch as a second rounder, and would be absolutely thrilled with that, with the bag that I have. Not that every second round pick pans out, as we have learned from doing this, but I would be pretty happy with that, because it seems like then he would have a pretty good pathway to seeing some playing time. So Bow and Pat double taps quarterback, taking away my dreams of the massive Dak fall. Anytime you can just have unstacked Dak and Tua, you got to do it. He does have 8 chains, so I can't get too mad at the Tua pick. But, a little unfortunate, but not anything unexpected. 6 picks away, coming in at 142. Likely to try to add another receiver and running back to the room here. Dylan Sampson was a guy I was taking a lot of earlier, but I have really backed off on. Fool me once with the Jalen Wright, Tennessee running back. This would be a fool me twice situation, and it would truly be my fault for falling for that again. So I might take a more boring pick, like a Tyler Algier kind of player. I will add Christian Kirk to this team. I he was a guy who was going in the 40s last year, had like a collarbone injury, and now he's going 100 picks later. I don't understand it. I know there's a pretty good chance that the Jags move on from Kirk, but I think wherever he goes, he's going to play and can be productive. So I find myself taking a lot of him in this range. I think, there's a pretty big gulf in talent between him and Tillman and QJ, the guys that kind of go around him. So I am more than happy to add him there. So by rank, it is Sampson. By ADP, it is Rico. And I don't have any stacks I can build. There goes Rico. I don't mind Bryce Young naked, but I don't know if that's really what I want to do. I'm going to add Ray Davis to this team. He seems like a guy who has some realistic contingent upside. He might just be the goal line back in Buffalo. I think he makes sense on this team. I know I passed on early running back so I could take some of the exciting rookies, and I have 0 exciting rookies. In fact, my running back room is quite dusty. So, things don't always go according to plan, but I do like the team. So far, it is Jalen Hurts at quarterback, Jacobs, Tracy, Najee Harris, and Ray Davis at running back, CeeDee Lamb, T. Higgins, Ted McMillan, Ekuka, Keenan Allen, and Christian Kirk at receiver, with Mark Andrews and Dallas Goedert at tight end. So pretty strong tight end room, especially considering, the draft capital isn't that high, coming in at 94 and 123. Feels like getting Andrews and Goddard, seems pretty good. So I do like some of those mid-range tight ends. This year tight end feels like you could go multiple different ways. If there's obviously the elite tight ends, Laporta, Kittle, McBride, and Bowers, but then the mid-range tight ends don't seem that crazy this season. And then of course there are some of the rookies. who a few of them kind of went to zero last night, unfortunately, like my man Gunnar Helm, who I think is still running. I don't know if he's finished his 40-yard dash. Hopefully that gets wrapped up soon. No line set for Betch on underdog. Apparently he's run a 4.55 in the past. Fast enough for a power slot. Yeah, I think I was a little ambitious with 4.45. I think he'd probably be like a first round pick if he runs that fast. I think anything 4.5 or better would be pretty good for a pretty big dude. That'd be booking. But yeah, I mean, it's funny in our world we're like, how does underdog not have a line for Betch? And it's probably like 15 people who really want that. Like we're a pretty niche group who's sweating out some of these combine numbers. But I do like that we've all kind of found each other. So this is fun, and I appreciate y'all coming and hanging out. Hopefully we can round out this team. QB is getting pretty thin, so I might need to take a second quarterback here unless something truly tempting falls to me. And I'm trying to decide if Kyle Pitts 20 picks past ADP is in the category of truly tempting. I'm inclined to say it's not. Yeah, I don't think it's that tempting. QB is over here. I need to take Geno Smith, I think, which is unfortunate because I don't love him as the kind of backdoor option. I don't think I'm going to be able to build a stack. But let's see. Is there anyone I would prefer to take before I snap him off? I really do like Adam Thielen. He would fit nicely in this dusty room. I'm going to take Thielen here and then take a quarterback, assuming that none of these guys take a third QB. Even if they do, then I would just add Sanders. I'm a little agnostic as to whether I get Sanders or Geno Smith. I don't think Sanders is going to end up stacked with any of these guys, but you never know. He could end up with McMillan or Igbuka, but that seems unlikely, being that those both are going to be first round picks. So I will take Geno Smith here, and hopefully they don't trade away all their receivers. My Ollie Gordon bags would love a 4.4. I have a lot of Ollie Gordon, man. It's not good. I have way too much. I think I'm near like 25% because I was taking him so much early. That would be great for Ollie. Number 1 pick in college football drafts last year. Yeah, this past season just was not the best season to put on tape. So hopefully, you never know why. Sometimes you get these dips, and it could just be a good opportunity for a team. He's still probably going to go on day 2, hopefully. But yeah, it's unclear. He's kind of mocked all over the place. I think that's what's really difficult with this year compared to last, is there are so many running back prospects, where last year it felt like there were so few. I mean, it was Blake Corum and Jonathan Brooks, and we weren't really super excited about either of them. And wow, that is early. Sorry, that is early for Brenton Strange. My God. But when you have T-Law, Etienne, Bigsby, Brian Thomas, you've got to make sure you get your guy at pick 177, who normally goes undrafted. Yeah. Hey, he's clearly making a big bet on the Jags. Sure, it was his third quarterback, but he might be really upset that I took Kirk, but maybe he just knows he's getting cut. So a slew of the tight ends go, all these veteran guys who I don't mind taking because they're likely to hit lineups here. I'm going to queue up Jack Betch, even though I don't think he's going to come to me. People drafting at 11 a.m. on the day of the combine are pretty thirsty for the exciting rookies. But maybe they'll grab Jaden Higgins. He can be like the the distraction that we throw overboard, and all the sharks can go over to him. But it's fine if we don't. I really don't need 50% Betch. And if he really stinks today, I'm gonna have to back off pretty heavily probably. So there goes Higgins. All right, one rookie down. Milrow at 186. My God, what does he know? What does he know that I don't know? Problem is, I like Higgins a lot too. Yeah, I know Maddock did a pretty good video on Higgins that sold me pretty hard. So I think I've got around 15% Higgins. I do find myself clicking him fairly frequently. Let's see what QBs are left. Carr and Jackson Dart. Well, I will take Betch if he falls to me. If he does not, he does. So I'm going to get my guy, which is exciting. And then in the ideal world, I'm going to add a Jackson Dart to this room. I think I want 3 QBs on this team because my second QB is Geno Smith, and he's kind of a late unstacked guy. And then I might just close this team out with 3 running backs, or maybe 2 running backs and 1 tight end. I'll kind of just see what the vibe is when we get there. But I'm definitely done at receiver at this point. So I'm going to take Dart, add to the Dart bag, and yeah, wrap up QB there. Take Derek Carr out of the queue. Nick Chubb goes at 194. He's a guy I've taken absolutely none of. Dak Goddard decision for this draft was big. Probably could have stopped at 2 QB. Yeah, I think you're right. I think I kind of wish I had Dak instead. I think I would feel a lot better. Then I could have taken like Jalen Tolbert late instead of, share 300 of Betch. And then I could have had Andrews and two upside tight ends. So yeah, that might have been. But again, it's not necessarily worse. It's just different, and obviously one is going to end up being better in the end. Yeah, it was a tough call. But I don't mind this team, but I do wish Geno was like potentially stacked with somebody. That said, the rumor is that Metcalf is on the way out, potentially to Green Bay. And what better thing to do than to trade away DK Metcalf and draft Emeka Egbuka to the Seattle Seahawks. So again, until the draft, we can tell ourselves these stories, which is really half the fun of doing these. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to go after this one, so this will be my only draft I can do. But I really appreciate you all hanging out. It is so much fun to do these and be able to chat with you. And I'm looking forward to getting some actual data and a little more buzz from the combine, because it's not just the data we get, but you get the teams talking to each other. You get the trade talks heat up, the potential, who interviewed where comes out. So, you can get some do some really good tea leaf reading, which is fun. So let's see leg up rankings where you have these running backs, and it's pretty much how I've been drafting them. I got a big old bag of Rashard Smith, Jordan James I really like. I don't have enough Jordan Mason because I find myself taking rookies here versus Mason. Mason, we don't know if he's going to be back in San Francisco. He definitely showed that he could be, at the very least, a first and second down, carry the load there. So I think he's a guy I probably wish I had more of, but again, it's so much more fun to take the mystery box than take the guy that you kind of know what you've got there. But yeah, I mean, Jordan Mason was the 101 in BRs for a week because he just was the guy in San Francisco and absolutely ran with that workload. Yeah, you get guys taking 4 QBs, it throws everything off. Like, why do you need Penix? Why do you need all these? You're just being greedy. I mean, these poor guys are just QB starved over here. You got to think of the community. So let's see. If I get James, I would be happy. Let me just make sure I'm not missing some tremendous value elsewhere. I don't think I am. I will take Jordan James with this pick. Yeah, may the combine be with you like the force. It really is. It really is. And yesterday we saw the dark side of the force came through with that gunner helm time, with our king, Fannin, Harold Fannin, not looking great either. It was not the best day for us and our exciting tight end rookies. So let's see. I mean, I take so much Brashard Smith, but I'm taking more. I think he's gonna go higher. Converted wide receiver, literally carried the SMU Mustangs into the playoffs on his back. I think he's a huge value late in the draft. I think, to me, he is the most likely to rise out of this pack late here. So my running back room of Jacobs, Tracy, Najee Harris, Ray Davis, Jordan James, and Brashard Smith. Now the question is going to be, do I add another running back or a final tight end to this room? These are not a very inspiring list of tight ends. I do like Juwan Johnson some because there is a little bit of smoke that he could end up in Denver, and the Denver tight end is sort of like the El Dorado of best ball drafts, in that we've all keep searching for it and we've never found it. Many of us have died on the way. I had a lot of Lucas Kroll last year. That was my pick, but he didn't pan out. Troutman didn't pan out. Nothing panned out, but it seems like that could be a valuable position. That's a long way of talking about a guy that I did not get because Mez Z9 got him, but I do like the potential of Johnson landing in Denver. I think I'm going to add another running back to this room and say that Goddard and Andrews are enough. And I will likely just go off of the leg up rankings for that. Big wide receiver adds there. GG's in Ollie. We trust it. My God. We're going to be, 1 p.m. It's going to be appointment TV time. I don't know exactly when the running backs actually start running, but the combine is from 1 to 9 today. So, I'm going to start getting some info. I'm excited. It should be fun. Peyton loves the rotations. Man, he hates us. Like, he literally hates the fantasy football community, because what he did with the running backs, let alone the tight ends, was an absolute war crime. He just would not let them get into a rhythm. He would not, we thought we had the guy in estimate. Like, we were there. He was going to be the goal line back at worst. And we got rugged. He was a game day inactive in the playoffs. Like, we simply cannot trust him, which is unfortunate. But you know what? We're going to keep trying to find that Denver tight end. So coming up, I have a lot of LaQuint Allen. I find him paired with Brashard quite a bit on my teams. LaQuint Allen goes. I would not mind Mullings. I would not mind another share of Sanders. If I don't get one of them, I will probably take like Chig Okonkwo, who I might take anyway. I think I might take Chig here. I know I just talked a lot about the running back, but I really like the potential upside for Chig this season. he was getting some good coach speak. At least at the beginning of the offseason, he was. So let's add Mullings and Sanders, and I will get one of them. So I will go over the team. We got Hurts, Geno Smith, and Dart at quarterback, Josh Jacobs, Tracy, Najee, Ray Davis, Jordan James, and Brashard Smith at running back, CeeDee Lamb, T. Higgins, Tet McMillan, Egbuka, Keenan Allen, Christian Kirk, Adam Thielen, and Betch at tight end, and then Mark Andrews, Dallas Goedert, and Chig Okonkwo to round out the team. Thank you all so much for stopping by. It was fun to do this. I'm gonna try to stream later, but we'll see if I can. Please like and subscribe, and again, I will try to get the word out. So if anyone wants to, they can hop into one of these. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Yes, winner, chicken dinner. Thank you, Historical Anomalies. I'll catch you later.